Go.
We don't need it on. We don't need it on.
There we go.
Hope you don't say nothing. Welcome to Getcha Popcorn Ready podcast. It's your host Hatch and my boy.
Welcome to Getcha Popcorn Ready podcast. This is me, T.
This is the real host. Hatch is in the building. Ladies and gentlemen, we have coming to the show today. Today we have coming to the show the lovely Jemele Hill, right? Former ESPN journalist, if you will.
Absolutely. Right? I know her from days at ESPN.
She was on the one show. What show you on?
His and Hers. But she has a number of shows to her credit, along with First Take, SC6, Outside the Lines, the Sports Reporters. Yes.
2018, she was Journalist of the Year, voted by the National Association of Black Journalists.
Could she be said to be controversial?
And we go find out. Somebody thinks she's controversial.
I'm saying she could be.
Hey, I mean,
But I like her though. She's fiery. She believes in what she believes in, and she takes that freedom of speech to heart.
She's a real journalist.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Very opinionated. And she has a lot of information, very educated, went to Michigan State.
Go Sparty. March Madness, go Sparty.
So just a phenomenal black educated woman.
Nice. Coming to the show, Jemele Hill next on Get Your Popcorn Ready podcast with your host Hatch and my boy
T0.
Subscribe on the Himalaya app or wherever you get your podcast. Yeet. Welcome to Get Your Podcast Ready podcast with your host Hatch and my boy.
This is T.O. right here. Get your popcorn ready. Subscribe to the Himalaya app or wherever you get your podcast.
Yeet. Swipe up.
Yep.
Swipe up. In the building today, we have the lovely Jemele Hill.
I love how you rolled that L, man.
I'm gonna roll a little bit, right?
I appreciate that. Well, it's good to be here with you guys.
And what platforms do we have our show on?
Oh, yeah. Call them out.
So I know we're on Himalaya.
Yeah.
So where are you at?
I am on Spotify.
I've heard of it.
Okay. All right. We all family, though.
Yeah.
We all family.
Yeah.
So welcome to the content family.
Content family. There
Absolutely.
it is. Right?
Spotify. Shout out to Spotify.
Shout out to Spotify.
They're going to really love this. Thank you, guys.
I got my music on Spotify.
Okay.
Trust me.
Go ahead.
I got a
Continue with this free advertising.
Nice playlist. A nice playlist on Spotify.
What's your top three on your? I'm gonna see what he listened to. What's your top three on your Spotify
show
right
you.
now?
Hey, let me show you. Like when I'm in my house and I just put on some music, just some chill vibe.
I didn't ask you to. I just want you to know your three. Okay. You can't say you can't. You can't give the explanation, right? What you listening to?
I'm gonna show you right now.
So we can judge you real quick. You know what I'm saying? Don't have.
And guess what? My top podcast. Look at that. Look who's on there.
Look at that.
My face, my man. That's what I use.
No, not your face.
My
this
face.
Is Jemele Hill.
That's my face.
No, I'm finna show you right now.
All right.
This is some of what I listen to. Sabrina Claudio. I know you have no idea who she is.
I don't.
Sabrina Williams.
What?
Who's Sabrina Claudio?
Look, I'm old. I don't know.
Like Janae Aiko.
Okay, I love.
I know that song.
Janae.
I know that song.
Aiko.
Man, what are you doing? House music dances in the living room?
That's Janae Aiko. This is Sabrina Claudio right here.
Let me hear. Man, no.
You're a mellow guy, huh?
Yeah, just chill. I'm chill.
All right.
This me off the field. I'm chill.
This is you. This is
Sabrina Claudio right here too.
Leave it on there,
Listen,
right? This is you at home fixing a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Listen to that music.
Okay. All right.
That don't mean he grown, though. That don't mean he grown. That's you can't listen to music like that all the time.
Alan Stone. Check Alan Stone out.
Yeah, we're about to pay a whole bunch for this music. We're about to pay a whole bunch. That's the yearly budget on this last 30 seconds of snippets.
Hey, that's
look at you, Mr. Chill R&B.
That's my Spotify list right there.
Okay,
and it gets better.
I don't.
It gets better.
Only if I'm listening to R&B, the only thing I want to hear is New Edition.
That's it?
That's
I
all
want to
he.
hear.
Oh, well.
That's want to
He had
hear.
his whole little rendition.
You know, hey, don't be hating on my little New Edition, BBD,
It's
Bobby
kinda
Brown.
cool,
You
but
know what I'm
corny.
saying? Because if I put that thing on right now, you know everybody is up.
Yeah.
Don't get it
man.
twisted.
No, that's pretty good. I
Don't
mean, I
get it
feel like my
twisted.
musical taste, I kind of stuck in one time zone or time warp, I should say. And like a lot of them, it's so much music and so much content. It's like,
Right.
it's very hard to keep up with.
Right.
And, you know, especially I think streaming services have made it harder because on Spotify, if you're listening to an album and the album's over, they just roll you into similar
Some-
music.
or something.
Really?
Similar music.
You
So
listen to something-
you could stay in your zone, in your box, and never come out of it. And that's why I find that somebody will mention a group. R.I.P. to him, but I had never heard of Pop Smoke before he died.
Really?
Did not know who he
Wow.
was at all.
I think I'm with you on that.
Yeah,
I
and,
didn't
and unfortunately, it's been a lot of people whose names pop up, and I'm like, I have no idea who this is.
Right,
and
right.
so that's
The
more
the kids know.
The kids know. It's just because I'm 9,000 years old. That's just what it is.
hey,
I'm
we-
9,000,
we
man.
all
right?
of us.
I'm still listening to all the mid 90s, late
Yeah,
90s
that's-
R&B.
I like the fact that Tank is still trying.
right. You know,
He's keeping
the only-
R&B
he the only
alive.
one, huh?
Yo, Tank is out there.
I know,
Like
he
his
keep-
music sounds good.
Yeah, absolutely.
What?
Yeah, it's banging. It's
I
kind of
have-
banging.
I have a Tank playlist too.
Oh, well,
Wow.
there it is.
I
I
have a
mean,
Tank
hey, well,
playlist,
Tank,
too.
come on the show. We gonna let you play your little Tank
trust me,
playlist.
he already knows. I will break it out. We play
When
on
we.
Yes.
Oh yeah, now that was fire.
That was fire,
When
right?
We was
Yes.
hot.
That was good.
Yes.
We,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Johnny Gill got a new album out. It's like,
Johnny
hey,
Gill got a new
what?
album?
Yeah.
He rolling over.
But look, look, y'all better not disrespect
He
Johnny
ain't-
Gill up in here.
He ain't passed away.
Bro, he ain't done nothing in so many years. He
Look,
already
Why you
chilling.
playing? He, I think it was like just last year or the year before. He had the #1 R&B song in the country.
I did not know
Yeah.
that.
What was that?
Yeah, I'm
Put
struggling.
on your
I'm putting you on
dress.
Game Changer this is Game Changer 2. I think that's the album that he has
Really?
out now. And I know all this because see, I interviewed Johnny Gill, all right?
Okay,
But
all
I'd
right,
always
Johnny,
listened and
respect.
Okay, you
kept
got-
up with his music, you know.
You got the
So
scoop. You got the scoop.
I
then.
tried.
Put on your high heels.
He's had a lot of music since then. Just so
Okay,
you know.
yeah, 'cause I'm still stuck in the.
You still stuck in that time zone.
Did you
time
see
warp.
the New Edition story on BET?
Loved it.
Loved it.
And then the Bobby Brown spinoff.
Yes,
Amazing.
loved it. Did you watch it, T?
No, I haven't seen it. I haven't
You
No,
seen
gotta
it.
you gotta
see it.
see
You-
this. You gotta see it.
While you at home, cut your music off one of these nights and put on the 3-part series of the New Edition story. It just took me right back
Okay, I have
to
to check it out.
calling the girl on the phone for the first time.
Yeah.
You know,
Pretender.
like, all you know, it was all that. It just took me right back to
Man.
12, 13 years old.
No,
Yeah.
but what was really interesting about it is that it showed how we know so much more about celebrities and musicians now than we did then.
Yeah.
It was all kind of drama going on with New Edition
nobody-
that no one
Nobody
knew.
knew, yeah.
I didn't know that it was a big fight that broke out when they were on tour with Guy. It was like, what?
Right,
like,
right.
what's
Y'all
happening?
fought Guy? Yeah,
They
yeah.
fought.
I
It
had
was
no idea. This
it-
is news to me.
They
Yeah.
got into a fight on stage.
Yeah.
New members of New Editions with themselves. They got into a fight on stage. Like it was a whole list of dramas that
Man.
happened that I had no clue was going down.
And if that were to happen today, it would have been all over Twitter.
Oh, it would've been
IG.
viral. It
Absolutely.
would've gone
With the
viral.
It would've gone
quickness.
viral,
With the
yeah.
quickness.
And even Bobby Brown, I didn't realize he started experimenting with drugs that early. I mean, I knew
Yeah,
before
yeah.
this biopic came out because I read his book
Mm-hmm.
and he talked a lot about it. But I just didn't know that he was that troubled that young. But those
Mm-hmm.
are things that you just didn't know about celebrities then. By that extension, Whitney Houston, same thing. Is that
Right.
she was marketed as this kind of Black American princess, right?
Mm-hmm. Was,
and,
yeah.
Yeah,
and-
lying. She
and-
was like a black Barbie doll.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
For real.
that was her. And we found out later, obviously, like some of the drug issues she had and other problems. But more importantly, people looked up and they just realized, oh shit, Whitney is hood. Like she's
Yeah,
from New
yeah,
Jersey.
yeah,
like
right.
for
Hood,
real,
for real,
New
for real.
Jersey.
Right,
like
right.
she was hood.
That chick.
She was that chick. So it was just like, oh, she went from singing I Want to, she was Miss I Want to Dance with Somebody. And then like, oh no, Whitney could fit in quite well on Love and Hip Hop.
Yeah, she is loving hip hop all
Yeah,
the way.
yeah.
So you being a journalist, is
Uh-huh.
there anyone like that has passed and you're like, man, I wish I could have, did more with them, had more interviews with them, or kind of sat with them in a longer, interview
Same.
type?
Yeah, it's hard for me because it's still fresh to a lot of people. It's hard for me not to think about Kobe Bryant.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, and I had two really good.
Ooh,
I had two good sit downs with him when I was at ESPN. One I did for ESPN, another I did while at ESPN during BET Awards weekend in 2015. And he was just the kind of person, because he was so smart and the way he thought about the world and the way he critically thought, that's just somebody that, you just wish you could just have spent more time with.
Mm-hmm.
And even now, I mean, I know we're weeks removed from it, and life does go on to some degree. It still just does not feel real.
Yeah,
it feels like it had that really didn't happen.
Right.
And so, I mean, that's somebody who immediately comes to mind. I wish now, from just being a fan, I wish I would have been able to see Whitney Houston before she passed. I never saw her in concert.
Really?
I saw Michael Jackson. I saw Prince. Never saw Whitney Houston. Wish I could have seen.
Neither. Yeah.
Wish I could have seen Luther Vandross.
Yeah,
Never.
another one.
And he's a guy, like, his name does not get brought up enough. Like, when we start talking about great R&B singers, Luther out here, all right?
But if it's somebody over
unless
50,
you like 60,
they go.
that's what I'm saying. Unless you 60,
They go curse you out if you don't know about
70.
Little Luther and Big Luther. They
Right.
go curse you
You have to
out.
go through the both of them, both phases, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And it was just, but his name, honestly, it really doesn't get brought up enough as being one of the greatest, if not maybe the greatest R&B singer,
Luther.
ever. It's Luther to some of us, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Luther.
That's right.
Barry White.
Man, listen.
Ooh, stop.
Listen.
Secret Gardens. What you know about Secret Gardens?
Man,
talking
Quincy
about
had
it.
everybody on that one album, right?
well, he should.
Yeah, no, that's like good stuff.
So you're doing, like I said, you're mostly in the sports realm of the journalistic side. Were you ever trying to get over to the more of the entertainment, musicians, actresses side?
Well, what's crazy is in what I do now, and I'm sure, I mean, you guys, you very easily fit in that lane, is that even though they may know you for sports necessarily, you guys are into sports.
Well, you gotta hold on.
Yeah, she said we. She said us.
Okay, I'm sorry. Did I misspeak?
Yes, you can't say we easily. I can
This
understand.
is the problem we're having. This is the problem we're
I
having.
easily insert somebody in a
y'all couples
lane.
therapy? Is that what happened?
Dude, you can't insert somebody in a lane. You
Couples
don't even know
therapy.
enough information about him.
Hey, you know what?
To put him in my
Only
lane.
thing she know
First
about-
of all,
only
he
thing
ain't
she
in
know
my
about
lane.
you-
He
What?
ain't in my lane. He ain't
We
in my
are
lane.
both not on the top 100, so we in the same boat. We are in the same
Really,
boat.
dude?
We both in the Hall of Fame, right?
Who?
Not the, I'm not in the Hall of
What
Fame.
Hall
but
of
I'm
Fame
in
you in?
You in
my
your
high
own
school,
high school
and
Hall
my
of Fame.
college.
Okay.
So I'm
Hall
good.
of
So we
Shame.
both in the.
A hall of shame is
Well,
what this is.
one of us at this table has a gold jacket.
Thank
and-
you. I even got on the,
and he's wearing it,
Exactly.
actually.
And it's not me or you. So, but you guys, what happens is that when you have a platform like this and you're doing this particular medium, it opens up the possibilities of you having conversations with a lot of different people. So on my, podcasts, I've had actually very few athletes,
I know.
Yeah.
And the thing is, that's because you're so well versed in other things outside of sports, which I admire. And this whole thing, this newest platform, Jemele Hill Is Unbothered. How did this come about? Tell the people out there about Unbothered.
Well,
You stop bothering her. She tell you.
Some people may have known that, or may have heard or remember that I left my job at ESPN. I have to underline the word left because people keep trying to say I was fired. I'm like, no, I left.
Let's
That's
get
the difference.
that clear
Let's get that
right
clear.
now. She left.
I left.
They didn't pick her up and throw her out the building. They didn't fresh
throw me
prince her.
out.
And,
Right.
No, I wasn't like, no, it wasn't that
However
way.
you want, left or
Left.
left. L-E-F-F.
FF.
And most importantly, left with a check.
There it is.
Okay.
Well,
Those
there
are
it
two
is.
important things, right?
Absolutely.
So once I was turning the page on my ESPN career, I thought very carefully about how to branch out into different mediums. The great thing about sports and what it afforded me to do while I was there, and just throughout my career in general, is sports touches everything.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's why I'm so aggravated by these people who say that, politics in sports or larger issues in our country and sports should not be related when they're completely intertwined, and they always have been. So when you have conversations in sports, a lot of times you're talking about racism, a lot of times you're talking about sexism, a lot of times you're talking about misogyny, a lot of times you're talking about, basic labor issues, okay? I mean, big one going on with the NFL right now. And so these are wider reflections of what happens in society. So you find yourself, though you're talking about the game, you're not really talking about the game. You're talking about other things. And that allowed an easy entry point for me to express my opinion in other areas. And so when I left ESPN, I wanted to work for entities that frankly were not as tied to the leagues as ESPN was.
Absolutely.
And there, even though no one in the C-suites ever came to me and said, hey, you can't say that about the NFL, or you can't say this about this person or that person. As they say, what's understood need not be said. And the reality is that it can be tricky sometimes when you're working at ESPN, they're in business with the NFL, NBA, all the leagues that you have to have honest, unbiased commentary on.
Absolutely.
It can put you, there can be some awkward moments because of it. Working for not just, Spotify and having Jemele Hill Is Unbothered was one part of the plan. The other part was to return to writing. And that's why I chose to write for The Atlantic. The Atlantic is a political magazine. They're not tied to any of the leagues. They wanted me to cover the intersections between sports, race, and gender and culture, which is something I had been talking about for years. And, with Unbothered, I wanted that to be an interview platform where I talk to interesting people. No, not people that agree with me. People who I find to be interesting, willing to share truths and vulnerabilities so that other people can not just learn, but they can also maybe respect something about that person that they
learn something
that they didn't really know. And that's the beauty, I think, of a podcast format is that when people choose to download you, they're choosing to spend a lot of time with you. And they're not choosing to have things in sound bites. They're choosing to hear full, open, honest conversations. So that's why that was important for me.
That I like that. The sound bites is what has gotten me into a lot of trouble.
A little bit, right?
Yeah. And then, as you said, a lot of, especially throughout my career, there's been moments where I've had to try to, I guess, clean up some situations or explain my side of the story, and it was never told in its entirety, because they took snippets or sound bites or clips from an hour-and-a-half interview, and nobody ever got to hear
the full thing.
Right. And so then they took the negative parts out, and then you got like a panel, like 4 or 5 people commenting on that soundbite, which made it even worse. It didn't even do anything for me.
Yeah. It's tough though, because unfortunately in TV,
I was about to go in.
Unfortunately in TV, you are up against time. And so exactly. you if they say we got 6 minutes for this story, you got 6 minutes. And it's just it's nothing you can really do about it. You may have said something incredibly enlightening and that would be profound, or for that matter, would give different context to a situation. They just probably ain't got time.
Absolutely. And that's what was my Achilles heel. I don't even know, like now looking back on it, like if I knew what I knew now, I would have never done it. Because
you had never done the interview.
I don't know, man. You would never done the interview, or just like in general?
No, the interview.
You would have did the interview.
No, because I never really people never got to hear my side of the story. Because again, like I said, they created a narrative. I was like this person in the locker room, or I did whatever. They never got to hear me explain why I did. So it only compounded the negativity.
I got you.
And so like I said, the media portrayal of who I am, like I said, it's not factual. Mm-hmm. Like I said, for me, I know I'm not a bad person. I don't have to go defend myself. But
sometimes you're bad.
But when people are consistently saying I'm this and I'm that, and I know that I'm not, then that's what gets me.
But you know what might have helped you is social media.
I know that's what I'm saying.
That might have helped you,
right? Exactly. The platforms that we have now, right? Exactly. It would have,
you could have gone directly to the people.
Exactly.
Right. You could have just been on IG Live doing them push-ups by yourself in your driveway.
Exactly.
You didn't need the media. You could have just had that.
I got my own push-ups.
That's right.
Leaving ESPN, do you feel good about your departure? And I think for like number one, would it be because you stuck up for yourself, you spoke up for yourself, and freedom of speech? Are those some of the things, I guess, upon leaving that you feel, I guess, not vindicated? But...
No, I feel good about the way that I left. We did not part on bad terms, even though I think it was, we've all been in relationships where they always say that before you actually break up with somebody, you've been thinking about it for about 6 months, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think it was one of those things where I had been thinking about it for a while, and there was some feeling that nobody wanted to be the first person to say, "Can we break up?"
Right. It's gonna be miserable and sleep on the couch.
Yeah, like for a while it was like that. It was like, okay, I'm sleeping on the couch, and ESPN got the master bedroom. It's all good, know. And so, once we kind of got over that part of it, which was largely like during the Trump controversy, and then a little bit after. once we got over that part of it, I think they were sincere when they said that they wanted me to stay. But I think they knew it was best for me to leave. And I knew it was best for me to leave, right? Because not only given what it felt for me to be there now, but also because I saw the possibilities outside of ESPN. They were just too big for me to pass up. And by big, I don't necessarily mean money, although it was definitely some money for me to be made outside of ESPN. I mean in terms of autonomy, growth, creative freedom, like things that I really wanted to experience, the opportunity to do some things in entertainment and politics, other stuff. And that was for the first time since I had been there. And I was there 12 years. Right? Yeah, that's a long time.
Yeah. So take us
it's the longest job I've ever had.
Right. So take us back to when you started. Like, you know, how that whole process
I mean, when I started, the reason, and Tio, you'll find great irony in this, is that the reason ESPN hired me or the job became open is because Skip Bayless was leaving his columnist job. And right, I was like, I knew you'd love to hear that name again. So Skip he was a columnist for ESPN.com. I was a columnist at the Orlando Sentinel. I was the only Black female sports columnist at a major daily newspaper in the country. The only one.
What?
And not just America, in North America.
Wow.
It's 405. It was 405 daily newspapers, and I was the only one in America and Canada. And it was like, that was it.
That is crazy.
Right, which is an embarrassing statistic. And it tells you everything you need to know about the media, right? So I was coming from that, and I didn't come to ESPN to be on television. I came there to write. And they hired me to be a general sports columnist for ESPN.com. I started doing more TV stuff. And one thing led to another, and I started doing TV full time, candidly, because the money was so good. I remember when he was there, when NBC gave Matt Lauer a new contract, $25 million a year, Fridays off. I was like, if that's the money you can make in TV,
I'm on the way.
You know what I'm saying? Right? I need to be in TV.
Right,
okay?
right.
You saw what they just paid your boy
Romo. We were just talking about it.
17 million? Like, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
For him to tell you what they're going to run, they're running to the left.
That's just film study. That's all
exactly.
it is.
Well, a lot of it, and I tell people this all the time, because you run into Joe Sixpack on Twitter or whatever, always trying to tell you what they know about the game. And I've told countless people, I was like, look, as much as I've been around football, been in some film sessions or whatever, they have forgotten more than I will ever know. Okay?
Right.
So what he's telling you are things that, for a quarterback of his caliber, or really a quarterback just playing professional football, is basic knowledge. And that is not to shade Romo at all.
Yeah, that's every
because
player.
He's giving them great insight.
Absolutely.
But it's basic.
All he doing, he's
calling out
basically
the front.
He's playing the game without taking any hits. All he's doing is just dissecting the defense.
Right.
But he's reading the defense.
That is worth $17 million.
That's
what they're saying.
It is. It's worth it because
I need to go run some routes in the booth.
No, you need to go talk about it.
You need to go talk about what you're doing.
I need to run it in the booth.
Run it in the booth.
Exactly. So that's all it is insight.
I think this is where the average fan, they always get players, where I think is very disrespectful, but they're both them and coaches, is that they don't understand that you all study the game on such a level, right? And you see where you can exploit every defense. You see it all the time, but that don't mean you can do it, right? Like everybody sees it.
During that 5 seconds, it's hard to do it.
Right. Everybody just ain't. You know how many people, how many defensive coordinators stay up late at night trying to figure out how to stop Aaron Rodgers? Everybody. Like, it ain't new, okay? Right. But the difference between good and great, and even great to otherworldly, is so minute.
Yes.
I used to, when I would watch NBA practices all the time, guys that when they enter the game that can't shoot, you would literally see them in practice making like 100 straight shots.
Absolutely.
Like, and
that's
you just
what I tell people,
you see them do this, and then they get to the game, and it's not the same.
20%.
Or their level of not being able to do something versus what somebody can do at LA Fitness, it ain't the same thing.
It's not even close. Pros versus Joes.
Oh my God, they literally do not understand that it's such a finite line between being good and being great, or even being average and being good. Like, it's a very thin line.
Absolutely. I try to explain that a lot to kids, especially on how I got to be who I was. Like, I wasn't good in high school. I mean, I admit that. I was average. I I had the potential to be on or make the team. You know what I mean? There was 13, 14 guys on the basketball team. I was probably that 13th or 14th guy, if that, coming off the bench. And that usually is like if we're blowing somebody out. You know what I mean?
You were the human victory cigars.
Right, exactly. Football, it was the same way. I sat on the sideline my sophomore, junior, senior year, tugging on my coach to put me in. But his assessment of where I was at that time didn't allow me to be on that football field.
Yeah.
And that's what motivated me, because I was, dude, it hurt to go through pretty much 2-a-days, the season.
Go get the water, T.
Right.
game that you drive
Dress in uniform.
Give me your
clean as
helmet.
hell.
Hey, you ain't playing. Give me your helmet.
It's so crazy. You know,
Yeah.
you driving up to the stadium on the bus, you see the stadium in the horizon, everybody's filling the stadium. Closer you get to the locker room, you start smelling the hamburgers, the hot dogs, the popcorn, and you knowing you ain't finna play a lick.
You might as well go eat. You might as well go eat with the in the stand.
Help
not
them
about to
serve
play
the hamburger
not
hot
to play a
dogs.
down.
Yeah.
And then you go through the pregame, you warming up, you doing everything else like everybody else. And then for
Come
four
to the
quarters,
sideline.
four
Hey, young man,
quarters,
come on over here.
I'm sitting over there cheering. You know what I mean? That's what motivated me to get to where I am.
I can't relate. I started every year in high school.
Yeah, I can't relate. Yeah, I can't
My
relate
bad,
either.
dog. I don't know.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't know what that's like.
I was a dude in high school. I'm sorry, buddy. You know what I'm saying?
That's why I'll let you be the dude in
I was
high
doing
school
it in high
right now.
school.
He's like, but what happened after high
Exactly.
school?
It
That's
ain't how
all
you start.
That's
It's
all
how you finish.
No.
It ain't how you start. It's how you finish.
So okay, you started there, right? 12 years ago. So what was going on before you got to ESPN?
Well, a lot of times people, when they see you on ESPN, they think you were like born there.
Exactly.
And
Right.
it's like,
Right.
it's not-
There was a grind to get to ESPN.
It was definitely
right?
a grind. I have been in newspapers for about a decade.
Mm-hmm.
I started off my first job out of college. I graduated from Michigan State.
Yep.
Right? Mm-hmm. It's March, so y'all already know
Sparty.
what's
Sparty
y'all
in
know
the house.
it's about to be
March
our time.
Madness. I'm going with the Zags, just so y'all
Michigan
know.
State.
Yeah, it's about to be our time. But no, my first job out of college, I was a general assignment sports reporter at the News and Observer in Raleigh.
Okay.
And so I was there for about 2 years. Went back to my hometown paper, the Detroit Free Press. Worked there for 6 years, covering college football, college basketball. Did an Olympics, covered the NBA playoffs. The Pistons were really good then. They won the title in 2004. And so I did a lot of NBA coverage around that time because they were so good. And I never really thought about being a columnist, about giving my opinion. But it was hard not to notice that a lot of the columnists, they were the highest paid writer usually on staff. They had a lot of visibility. They were getting the book deals, the radio shows. They were on shows like Around the Horn. So
give us the definition of columnist and then what you were doing prior.
So a columnist is somebody who gives their opinion, and it's a reported column. Like I still will come to practice and interview somebody like T.O. and then
That's what Skip Bayless was.
That's
in
he
San
was a
Francisco.
columnist,
Okay.
and Stephen A. He was a columnist in Philadelphia,
Okay.
and so you still come and you talk to athletes and that kind of thing, but you have your opinion. Like if my opinion is that the Eagles mishandled T.O., I talk to T.O. and we talk about it, but then I'm still forming my opinion around what I see and what he said, and that gives you a lot of power as a columnist because your face is on your column. So you become inextricably linked with your words. Like you become as much as a story as what you're saying. And I was making the leap from just being a reporter saying, okay, this is what happened. This is why it happened. Here are the people and what they said about it. No opinion involved. To suddenly putting my thoughts, opinions, feelings out there. And when you do that, you invite a lot of criticism, of course, because the fans react to what you say. Players and coaches you cover react to what you say. And my personal motto was always, I'm never going to say anything about an athlete in print or on TV I can't say to their face. If I can't say it to your face, I don't need to write it.
Right.
And so having that kind of line and boundary, it was good. Because it wasn't that I was afraid of conflict. I mean, because there was plenty of athletes that wanted to cuss me out about things that I wrote. But they could never say I wasn't fair. And they couldn't say that I didn't give them an opportunity to voice their displeasure about what I said. Because, the journalist that groomed me said, you write something about a dude, if you tear him down, you show up in the locker room the next day. Right? And then, and unfortunately, in today's media world, a lot of that is lost. Because you have a lot of people writing opinions from far away.
Yes.
Or saying things. I mean, I at ESPN, it was a little more difficult because I'm on TV every day. So I'll say something about a guy. I'm not going to run into him the next day.
Right.
I will run into him eventually,
Right.
or he will get word to me that like, yo, I got a problem with what you said.
Clapping back.
You know, and that's how Kobe and I got cool, is that I said something on air about Kobe. This is when, I forgot who wrote the piece. I think it was like the New Yorker, but he had said what I thought to be kind of, you know, he had some comments about Trayvon Martin and his case that I thought were wrong. I mean, and I said that. And I just like, I think he was channeling a little too much of his own experience in the court system and not thinking enough about the fact that this young man went to the store to get snacks and was murdered. Right? And so this is a child that was killed by somebody who decided to do that. And before we could even get off air, Kobe had sent me a DM. Two of his reps had emailed me, and he was like, "Call me right away."
Right.
And it wasn't like I went on there and just like went off on him. I was just like, it was tone deaf, you know. And I just speaking from the experience of knowing, you know, just what kind of trauma that is for young black men, a kid to see. It's like your life can be taken out, not by a police officer, but by a overzealous neighborhood watch type of dude who just decided that he was going to take somebody's life.
Doing too much.
Doing way too much.
Doing too much.
Right? And didn't do any time for it. Right? So this is all the backdrop. And so I called Kobe. We had a great conversation for about 45 minutes. And fast forward, and I'm not saying this to take any credit for it, but just to say one of the things I appreciate about, you know, that exchange is we were trying to learn from each other. Like it wasn't like yelling at each other for 45 minutes. It was like really an honest,
grow through the process.
Yeah, calm conversation. Fast forward to him and Vanessa showing up at a Trayvon Martin rally later on, and donating to the fund that helped his parents and doing. He put himself out there. He started being way more involved and active in these kind of issues, and so. But that part is missing though, because that used to happen quite regularly in the sense of like reporters and athletes could kind of go at each other, coaches, same thing, and then I just forget about the shit the next day. It's just like, all right, man, I didn't appreciate it, you didn't appreciate it, cool, we move on. Maybe you're mad at me for a couple of weeks and I can't talk to you, but eventually we all get over it, right? Kind of not that way anymore. Is that I see a lot of people on TV, digital publications say things about athletes that I think are very. They're not just questionable. I think they're
unfair.
They're really in really bad taste.
Yeah.
It's one thing if you have an opinion about how somebody plays, things to the games, but you know, people start talking about what kind of parents people are, and just like all kind of things that have nothing to do. First of all, experiences you can't speak from. Right? Like, I don't know. We have to keep reminding ourselves, we don't know these people. We may talk to them. We may see them play, but I don't know you. I don't know what goes in your house, on in your house. It ain't none of my business. All right? And I think it's not enough people who are minding their damn business.
Now, do you like the sports as much as you like the writing, or do you like the writing as much as you love the sports?
Well, it's the journalism that I like. It's that the opportunity to ask questions, to tell stories, to get to the heart of things, to get to the truth in things. If you think about some of the things that we would not have known as citizens, as people, if not for the diligent work of journalists, it's really kind of a scary thing, you know. Even now, as everybody's kind of dealing with this coronavirus and all that, there's a lot of really, you know, credible journalists like trying to get to the truth of what our response should be and, you know, how we should protect ourselves. But, you know, for me, it was just about that part of it, is that I love sports because I played it growing up. I watched it growing up, and I love the stories, you know, behind a lot of the athletes and just what competition, what it said about people. I love that the fact that sports, even now, you think about how divisive we are as a country. We don't worship together. Most of us eat with people who look just like us. We don't do a lot of things together in mixed company, except sports.
That's it.
That's the only arena.
That's what brings us together. Yes. And so that part about it, I think that's why I love to write about sports.
You're right. That's the only thing where we feel like we see eye to eye and there's harmony.
Yeah. I mean, it could be people that can't stand each other, but if y'all all, root for the Cowboys, I mean, y'all all root for the Cowboys.
Right. And then as soon as they leave that stadium, they be,
right, it might be on again.
It might be wrong.
But, in those moments, in those hours, it's good.
Yeah, exactly.
It's good.
Within those hours. Now that the chapter is closed with ESPN, like, what are you most proud of during your time? And I think the first time I met you, I came on, was it His and Hers?
Yeah, His and Hers.
It was His and Hers. You weren't married at the time. We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
So were you the her? Yeah, you were. All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
I just want everybody to know I'm not responsible.
Wow.
Still not responsible. Yeah, actually, that is what I'm most proud of, is His and Hers. And, Michael Smith, as you know, is
I was on that.
Yeah, T.O. was on there. That was, that's one of my dear friends. And we created something, we was selling tapes out the truck. Man,
really?
At noon on ESPN.
Wow. Yeah, who was trying it?
I'm sure y'all had people calling to be on the show.
Well, you'd be surprised. I mean, we did have a lot of really good guests, and we were fortunate that most of the guests that came on the show really were into the show, and they liked the fact that, unlike when you know how it is when you do a car wash at ESPN, you pretty much ask the same thing. You have to do it all day, and the car wash is just, you come to ESPN, you're on every show, and it's a great publicity tour. If you have something you want to, sell or promote or whatever, it's great for that.
Beside yourself, but go ahead.
Well, that's what you're promoting.
That's part of promoting.
Beside yourself. Promote something beside yourself.
That's part of promotion.
No, we don't. No, promote. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. So, nevertheless, we were a fun show, and we did a lot of things on TV that they told you you're not supposed to do. We did skits. I drank a 40.
Oh my God,
those sketches was funny.
Hilarious.
The Ice Cube sketches, that was the best one ever.
We did Boys in the Hood. I mean, I drank a 40 on national TV, a real 40. So, not that I had any experience with that or anything.
That wasn't even acting.
Yeah, it wasn't. I was like,
you heard it. She got drunk on TV and got fired from ESPN. That's how it all happened.
You're right. That was the beginning of the downfall. And
you heard it here.
That's breaking news.
Jemele Hill got
drunk. And I often like to mess with my friend Carrie Champion, who was playing Ice Cube's mother in that particular sketch.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I was like, so you were just acting like yourself. We didn't even need to give you a script.
I got this.
She was like flicking that cigarette. Carrie does not smoke. All right. But it was just fun. But we did a lot of fun things. We broke a lot of rules. We did everything unapologetically. And for that, we are really proud of those moments that we were able to have and the type of culture that we were able to create. We were the culture, and we were on television doing these ridiculous things.
And people were relating to
They were. And so, that I will always be proud of. I don't look at, a lot of people would say, our short time at Sports Center, I'm pretty sure we have the record for shortest stint ever on the 6 o'clock Sports Center.
I got 3 weeks.
Look, I made it about 10 months. All right, 10 whole months.
Okay. So His and Hers, did that transition to SC6? Sports Center 6?
What happened was that we were muddying along just fine on our show, doing our thing. And the execs came to us and said that they wanted us to do the 6 o'clock Sports Center. This was not a job we pursued. They asked us to do it because they liked
the content.
Yeah, they liked the things we were doing at noon. They thought they were trying to, at the time, have more personality branded Sports Center.
Absolutely.
They had successfully launched Scott Van Pelt Sports Center, which is, his personality is him. It's really good Sports Center. So they wanted that to kind of be the model for what they did with us. And initially, when they came to us and asked us to do it, we laughed, like legitimately laughed, because we're like, we're not anchors. I mean, we can
that
anchor.
Ain't us. Yeah, right.
That ain't really us. Like, we're over here, selling tapes out the trunk. We doing our thing over here in this small studio. So the more we got to talking, they seemed to be very open to bringing the same things that we did on His and Hers and bringing them to Sports Center. So we thought, pretty good marriage. I mean, we go from a very small studio to a $17 million studio. Our staff quadruples overnight, not to mention few more zeros added to them checks. So it was like the come up was real. We were like, we made it.
Moving on up.
Totally moving on up. And I was like, in fact, Mike and I had dinner recently with some other mutual friends of ours, and we were both laughing at the fact that, Yeah, I believe in being fiscally responsible, but I'm gonna have some hood rich moments, and that's just gonna have be. It's gonna be what it's gonna be.
Let's go slip.
So sure enough, that bonus check cleared. I was like, brand new Maserati. I was like, say something with some rims and black mat. Say something.
You know what we call that? We call that new money. Right?
Oh no, that's definitely new money. I was a new money move,
right?
For sure.
But I tell people all the time, it's gonna happen to anybody.
Yes.
Because it's like if you're just a regular person, right? You're gonna have 3 friends, right? So whenever you get new money, right? Let's say you take a trip, right? You're gonna have 3 friends take a trip with. You can't fly coach. You got new money. We all first class.
Who wants to do that?
Who wants to do that, right? You get to the hotel, you land, you're like, okay, I used to go ahead and taxi, but we got new money, limo, car service, right? You get to the hotel, usually have a regular room.
Not even the Lyft Black or Lyft Premium. You're like, no.
Excel. You know what I'm saying?
Excel.
You know,
like
you
limo.
get to the hotel, you get a regular room, you got new money, suites for everybody. You know what I'm saying? That's new money. That's what you would do.
Yeah.
You gotta have
okay,
good
I didn't do all of that.
Exactly. hey, you better than me.
Right.
And there ain't better be no sweets for everybody.
Right.
For everybody.
Sweet for me.
I don't know about you.
Not about it. Yeah. I mean,
awfully generous somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, I done had my moments in the club.
Right, yeah,
don't get me
yeah.
wrong.
There you
Where
go.
it's
Right,
like,
there
all
you
right,
go.
I got these bottles, y'all. But,
Right.
But no, nevertheless, it represented a very big promotion. You know, this is, Sports Center, that's where Stuart Scott sat and Rich Eisen and Dan Patrick and it's just a long Linda Cohn. It's a long story list of anchors who have done this show, and we were trying to bring our personal touch to it. But I mean, the reasons it didn't work out were just that creatively we were just on different pages, and Mike and I had our idea of what we wanted to do. They had theirs. We tried to establish some common ground. Sometimes that worked. A lot of times it didn't. And so every day just was a fight all the time.
But wouldn't you have that discussion before you would?
But see,
you know what I'm saying?
Here's the thing.
That you would,
it's and I know you guys will ask me. This does not represent my marriage, but I know we'll talk about marriage lately. But it's like when you hear people say that the moment they got married,
the honeymoon's over.
Everything changed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
it's like going into it, they heard, I'm going to never do you wrong, this, that, and the other. And,
saying everything
you want to hear. Like maybe before you got married, he was doing the dishes and taking out the trash. After you get married, he like, you got it. All right. Right?
Yeah.
So things changed. Yeah. And we also had a major leadership change that occurred, early on in our show or when we were still in that filling out process. And they had a totally different way that they wanted to do things that was not really the way we wanted to do them.
Where y'all started.
Yeah,
exactly.
it was like when a franchise quarterback gets drafted and then the next year they fire the GM.
Right.
And then the head coach. And
the
it's
head
like
coach is
and
totally
then somebody
different,
comes in and they want you to run an offense you don't run. Now you don't like and
it's
you
not
are
conducive to your skill set.
Correct.
Yep.
And so that was kind of where we were with it. And look, contractually we could have kept going on. Yeah, because we were contracted to do the 6 o'clock Sports Center for 3 years.
Wow.
So we didn't have to. That's why I kind of laugh when people are like, you got fired. I was like, I left because I wanted to. Trust me.
Right.
The contract said I could have stayed and collected as many checks as long as I was there. But, that would not have been gratifying. It was a waste of my ability to do it. And so Sports Center it was a lot of conversations that were happening in sports. I didn't feel a part of those conversations because when you're doing Sports Center, it's more like the evening news of sports. You're not really giving your opinion, which is what Mike and I had done from day one. And, that just wasn't the case. So, I was just like, I got to tap out of this. And even though everybody was just like, are you crazy to leave Sports Center and this and that? I was like, nah, for my mental health and for my spirit, I got to get out of here.
I like the fact that you said that everybody's in your ear saying you can't do this, telling you. Same with the Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah.
That guy right there. Cause he's my friend now on real, one of my best friends.
Today.
And then my guy Doug Sander, who does a lot of marketing and branding for me. Those are the first 2 guys I consulted with first, and so they said, T, no, you can't do that,
dog.
Oh,
You're
and my
idiot.
other guy, just to kind of go out on the limb because I heard it from him. He was like, no, T, you can't just not go, man. Then I heard Doug when he was the same way. So I'm like, well, man, maybe I'm making a mistake. So I said, let me just revisit. Let me ask somebody else. So I drive all the way out.
Went out to Fox's, yeah.
Went out to Jamie Foxx.
Yep.
Jamie Foxx sat me in that room.
Yep. Can't do it. The 1972 Cowboys and
he talking about the history of the game and people that can't like me. I didn't even know. Trust me, people have heard this countless number of times. I didn't even know I would play beyond the collegiate level. So he started telling me about the history and almost like the forefathers of football.
He sounded like Al Pacino any given Sunday. You gotta fight for that itch.
It was that speech. That game of inches.
That's what it was. So I didn't want to disrespect, and I'm like, and I valued his opinion. And so I'm sitting in there. We sat in there for about an hour, and he just giving me the spiel. So we left. I left. I got in the car. I looked ahead. I said, shit, I still ain't going.
You're like, that wasn't enough.
I said, I heard it.
Man, Willie Beaver just told you to go. You were like, no.
You didn't hear what Jamie just said, man?
I said, I took it for what it was. I tried to, digest everything. And I said, I still ain't going, Hatch.
But see, here's the thing, though. This is how you know you made the right decision. You probably, I'm guessing you would have regretted it had you gone.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, not regret. Like, if you wouldn't have felt right that whole weekend.
No.
He would have been mad
You'd
the
have
whole
been mad
weekend.
the whole weekend.
And everybody would be like, oh, he's a jerk because he was mad. He was not a jerk. He was just mad at the moment because he was there.
Because you weren't having the moment the way you wanted to have it.
And then, just even stuff that I had found out prior to going there.
It was the information over time that I found out. And I was like, the Hall of Fame, it's not fair for what they do to the Hall of Famers as far as making money off of them and them having to spend that amount of money
to have our own party.
It makes no sense.
And then when you talk to David Baker about you ask questions like why doesn't the NFL kind of help with the celebration of that? They don't put no money, no nothing. Like we are the players that make up the NFL. They try to disconnect themselves from the Hall. It's like their own entity.
It is.
And I'm like, how is that possible? Because we are the guys we're the product.
You are the Hall of Fame. Yeah.
And we make up the NFL. What it is today.
Yeah.
It blows my mind. Dude, I talked to Brian Urlacher the week before. He called me just to be like, man, congratulations, this, that, and the other. He said, man, I wish I was you. He's like, I really don't want to go. He didn't really want to go either. Like they were trying to get him to sign autographs, all types of stuff. I'm like, yo.
Because everybody else benefits off of that.
Yeah.
The player doesn't benefit at all.
So it doesn't feel like a Hall of Fame experience.
No, and people, I just did Mike and Dunny last night, and they asked me, how does it feel? Has it changed? I'm like, no, there's nothing that has changed in my life just because I have a gold jacket
and
a bust.
I thought they got a check every year for
an annual
check from the Hall of Fame.
That's
and
what
they
I
don't
thought
get
too.
that. I was like, really?
No.
That's when I was
people
like, Hall of Fame.
People think that, and I thought it too because I called and checked on it.
Like,
I was like, you get a check.
Yeah,
you don't get a check
because I thought
every year
$150,000. Everybody gets an annual check.
No.
So now when I'm telling you we're the same, we're the same. I ain't getting no check from the Hall of Fame. I ain't getting no check from the Hall of Fame. There you have it on Getcha Popcorn Ready podcast with our guest Jemele Hill. No, we still going. I just always throw that in there.
All good.
So take us back a little before, like I said, when you were playing sports in high school, we like to kind of always bring in like where you got your work ethic or where you got your dedication or your discipline.
What sports did you play though?
I played fast pitch softball. Okay. So I was baseball was my first love. And so I told you I was 9,000 years old, man. It was during the time
played every sport.
and of course, in the neighborhood, played a little football. I always had a really good arm. So even when I played in the neighborhood where we played football, I was always a quarterback.
Wow.
Because I could throw. And
we can throw, he can't throw. He's very unathletic when it comes to throwing the ball. But go right ahead.
He's but I can catch it though.
That's all that matters. First of all, he would not be my quarterback. He would not be my quarterback. Everybody that can throw can't really throw.
I can throw. I played receiver just because I didn't want to play quarterback in the league. Don't get it twisted.
The way your receiver career panned out, you might.
Maybe I should have.
Did you play football in high school?
Oh my gosh! Cut that! Cut. We don't. Of course, I played in the league.
He should have probably been a quarterback because
I'm an NFL guy.
I
know. No, but look, his talent is he worked
out of this
hard
world. It's
to
extraordinary.
get there. You know what I'm saying?
Say it. It's extraordinary.
It's not
You
extraordinary.
do sound like
though.
it pains you to say that.
It so does. No,
Like, honestly,
honestly,
I'm like one of the best athletes that nobody ever really knows about.
That's not a true
when you
statement.
talk about
though.
Bo
That-
Jackson
no,
and
he
Deion
can't-
Jackson, guys that could have played
20 second time out.
honestly,
No.
no. I could have. No, I'm that guy.
No, you're
Trust
not,
me.
T.
Okay, so just so I make sure I'm not hearing this wrong.
You're not.
You think that your level of athleticism is on par with Deion Sanders and Bo Jackson?
Absolutely.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's
yeah.
not.
Yeah,
You
toward
saw
the
the
end
play,
of my
right?
Yeah, toward
Okay,
the end of
this
my.
is-
you right.
No, I'm just saying. Not
No.
in the beginning of my career.
Right.
Toward the end of my career, when
You
I
think that
started,
you were where they were.
absolutely.
I'll
no
put,
doubt.
Now, this is the reality, right? I will put you in that category for receivers only, but Bo Jackson and Deion, you have to compare.
I'm not gonna lie, Bo Jackson. That's gonna be hard.
that's-
for me.
that's-
you know what I'm
hard.
saying?
That's a dude though.
That's a different level of dude.
I mean-
They actually
Play
played
other
another
sports.
sport.
So when I
that's
talk-
the thing.
so
Had
you're
had
only
I
in the
really, had I
receiver
done
box.
that, had I done that,
But you
trust
couldn't
me,
have done that.
Yes, you.
if
What?
those who can do, you did not.
If I would have pursued it just during the time that I was playing football, like I said, I just didn't pursue it as I did
Because
with
you weren't
football.
good at it.
Because I was still developing as a
As an
football
athlete,
player.
I get it.
So I
get it.
didn't have the talent at the time to just transition
still don't
into
have the
another
talent.
sport. Like I could have played NBA.
I could have too.
No, you could
Yes,
not
I
have.
could. Look, okay, this is what he's saying.
First
This
of
is
all,
what
if
he's
you
saying.
would, you know basketball players.
I do.
First of all you got
And
to
I've
do
seen
is
you play. Yeah,
Exactly.
I've
All
seen
you
you
got
play.
to do is ask a number of basketball players. First of all, who he is, number one, and
I'm
then
that guy.
once
I'm the king.
once they identify him, compare the two. Ask him who would have made it before.
What if they see us up front? then
Seeing
they're-
you, they
don't
really,
have-
it really is going to
Lord.
validate what their
guy.
answer is.
This guy.
Y'all need to go to therapy.
We should have called this couples therapy. We really should.
No,
We really
this
should.
dude, he really wants to be on my level.
Now wait, hold up. Big. Have you guys played each other in basketball?
He will
Okay,
not win.
one on one. Not
Not
one on
You
one.
guys have-
We
Not
played
one-on-one.
in the gym together.
Okay.
Right.
Why have y'all not settled this already?
he don't want
Because
the
he's
smoke.
trash.
'Cause he don't want
he
the
is
smoke.
trash. All right.
He
so look,
does not, Jamel.
Look,
he don't
look.
want this smoke,
He don't
and he
want the
knows
smoke.
it.
If
He
the
knows
game is
it.
to 11, right, and if
my
I'm on the other team, my team will win 100
Oh, I
out of
didn't say your
100.
team. I didn't say your team.
Well, listen to right,
Okay.
and he's gonna have 8 out of the opponents of the opponent we're playing. They're gonna have 8 out of his 9 points,
Right.
and he's gonna think he did well because he got 8 points.
No.
But they lost. My team will win, and I'll only have 6 of the points, but my team's gonna win. Because he's just go shoot every time, so he's go shoot his team out. That's not good ball.
You really didn't answer the question.
Thank you. Thank you.
I just asked
Thank
you
you.
if 1-on-1.
Thank you.
I ain't say teams.
He's trash.
Thank you.
He's
Thank
trash.
you.
He's not very
Look,
good.
if you scared, just say you scared.
Hey, but that's the thing.
Just
is
say you scared.
But that's the thing.
Just say
like-
you don't want to.
But that's the thing.
He say you scared.
Right, but that's the thing. He talking about how many points I had. That's what me, Kobe. That's what me and Kobe do.
It's not
We
you.
do.
See, he puts
Me and Kobe, we do. That's what we do.
I almost threw up in my mouth because you're gonna put you and Kobe in the
Me
same.
and, that's what we do.
No,
we
it's not a
shoot.
we.
Jamil, that's what we do. We
You know
shoot.
what? That's what me and Barbara Walters do. We ask questions.
You know what
That's
I'm
what
saying?
we, me and Oprah, that's what
You
we
feel-
do.
you feel
That's
me?
what we
Speaking
do.
of that, we're gonna segue, get it off us. Speaking of that, you mentioned Oprah.
The crossover.
Yes.
The-
Did we finna switch
Did you-
this?
we
thing
about to
all-
switch this?
you crossed
Yes.
her over.
Yeah, I'm crossing over right now. Give me your take on the Gayle King situation, and if you don't want to speak on it, you don't have to. And 2 parts. Give me your take on the Gayle King situation and Snoop's response.
So the initial response or the second response. Well, I'll go through all of it. So I watched the interview like a lot of people did. Of Gayle.
It was only 5 minutes.
It was.
Something
I mean,
seconds, right?
and it was a part of a larger. It was a bigger segment, but the snippet that everybody saw on social media was obviously Gayle interviewing Lisa Leslie. If you watch the interview, her first question is kind of benign. I mean, really. And I have been asked that question about Kobe since he passed. That, you know, as a woman, which I always find to be interesting because they act like men don't actually care
Right.
about sexual assault.
Right.
Or that why should women have to be the one to answer for somebody who was
Right.
accused? Like, I don't even know why that we get put in that position to begin with, but that's neither here nor there. That's a whole separate conversation. So the first question was just about, you know, her friendship and
With
just
Kobe.
being with Kobe and whether or not she felt as if him being accused of rape tarnished his legacy,
Right.
which is not on the face of it, that's not an intrusive, bad question to ask.
Absolutely.
A lot of people have had to answer that question. Where she got herself in trouble was that I just felt like journalistically, she added too much of her own commentary in the exchange. So when Lisa says that wasn't the Kobe she knew and that everything she saw didn't add up, and that's why for her it was a no-brainer. No-brainer, right? And then when Gail goes, but you wouldn't know.
Exactly.
That's what we call the trigger word. That's the trigger word right there. And as soon as she said that and then kept going a little bit with it is where I think the conversation turned just journalistically in a way that it was great for Lisa because I think people who maybe were asking people that, like Lisa kind of put a period on that conversation. So I think that there was an actual silver lining that came out of it. And so while journalistically, I don't think I would have done the same thing, I didn't think it was unfair of her to ask the first question. I just thought after that might have been something that she should not have done.
The follow-up, because it seemed to me like as if it was personal.
Yeah, it just seemed like...
When you kept digging.
It just seemed like she was digging, and it wasn't as if it was digging for no reason. Because it's not as if Lisa's just going to say, you know what, Gail, now that you said it.
Exactly.
Yes, it does.
Exactly.
It's like, this conversation doesn't really have a whole lot of upside to it. And I do think that Gail probably underestimated, I think a lot of people did, they underestimated how hard this would hit people, his death in general. Well, not just the backlash to her, but just his death in general. I think people underestimated that, that it was even bigger than what people have known. Because look, in LA, there are many celebrities that have died in LA. Whitney Houston died in LA. Michael Jackson died in LA.
In the recent
Nipsey Hussle. You know, so it's not like this community has not seen death before. But this was way different. And I think because she underestimated the level of love and what an icon that Kobe had. And I think some of it was just the way he died. A lot of it was that. I mean, to die tragically in a helicopter crash with his daughter, that just hit people way different. Way different. And so they, even though at times Kobe has been a polarizing player, that people felt very protective over him in this moment. And as a journalist, you kind of got to know that. And you got to be able to read the room a little bit. And, you know, maybe that's one of those that you ask and then you go back, you watch and say, you know what, y'all can cut that part out. Maybe.
That too.
But maybe she said CBS, she said she was blindsided.
Yeah, because they often,
by the network.
When you do big interviews, and as someone who has sat down and it's been a big interview, what they do is they do teasers. They do clips and they take snippets. And these days with social media, a lot of those clips in itself become just all that people see. Because so many people are on their phones now, like not the same audience is watching linear television. And sharing it over and over and over again. So if you have a really hot clip, it becomes a story in itself. And that's kind of what happened. Snoop's initial response, with all that being said, and me, you know, from a journalism standpoint, being a little bit critical with how she handled the interview, I thought his response was unnecessary. And I love Snoop. He's one of my favorite people. Certainly, he was one of the people who voiced his support of me when all that was happening with Donald Trump and all that. And I really appreciate it for him. But when I heard it, it just sounded so harsh. I mean, in a way, like, Snoop has said harsh things about people before, but this just was like, but I think it was so different. I was like, like,
to the heart.
To the heart.
Right, but I think that goes to your point of how tragic his death was and how it affected so many people. And obviously with Snoop knowing Kobe personally, and then the fact that
it felt like she was talking about somebody in his family. Like it was very personal for him, and that's how he reacted. And that's what caught me off guard about it, is that had he just been critical and been like, you know, this and that. And I've seen him be critical in that medium of people before, and it's never really struck me as being super, like, it's harsh, but it's like, oh, okay, I see what this is. That, it was just like, okay. And then I think the other part of it too was that he may not have intended this necessarily, but he kind of called the dogs on her because when you say pull up,
right?
It's I know how he meant it,
right?
But the people that are fans of his, and for that matter, the people pissed at her, they're gonna take that a whole different way. So you just literally kind of dangling meat before the dogs.
Yeah,
and
because he could have been saying that indirectly.
Yeah, or I would have.
But them goons know what's up.
But the goons, like I mean, and Gail even and Oprah rather, she talked about it. Like she received a lot of death threats because of this, and that's the thing is that he's a powerful voice, and on just some pure black shit. Yes, it was. I did not like to see Snoop Dogg, or for that matter, Gayle King. I did not like to see.
Black on black.
Yeah, the parents arguing in front of the kids.
Right.
I didn't want to see
that's
that.
That's it. Black on black.
And so I thought it was great that he went on Red Table Talk. I thought it was great that he apologized. And I know there was a lot of people like Snoopy had nothing to apologize for, and we knew what you meant. Sometimes
not everybody knows.
Not everybody knows, and sometimes you have to again think about how you want this for other people to look at you when you have the position that he has. And I because I was one of those people. We didn't get a chance to talk. I called Snoop, and I was like, "Dog, we need to talk." Because I'm like, man, it's not the best look, especially considering that. And I've been the target of this before. That black women are targets on social media in a totally different way, and not just. I mean, I know sometimes we think it's like, oh, some of it is racial. Yeah, that's part of it. But I've definitely been put in that grinder by my own people, like big time, and that shit is crazy. Right. Like it does not feel good. It doesn't feel good.
So we have a social status segment on the show. So I know you definitely have something regarding your Twitter or Instagram that somebody was saying some crazy stuff for you or against you or to you on social media. Like, give us one of those stories.
Oh, man.
Where you've snapped back?
Where where
I said something
back. That was a president. I mean, you did something with the
I did with that. But, I mean, hell, I could just tell you.
Yeah,
I just
go
literally,
today. Yeah.
I literally just got this. I think this might have been yesterday. Somebody sent me. I mean, and this happens, for me, like quite regularly. Because I think... people, as you know, it's a lot of keyboard warriors.
Absolutely.
People say
keyboard
things.
Courage.
Keyboard courage. They say stuff to you on social media that they would never say to your face. Because as I often like to tell them, is like, hey, look, I'm from Detroit.
And I'm gonna be from Detroit.
And not only that, it's just like, yo, this conversation ain't gonna turn out the way you think it will. So you can come with all that if you want to, with all that extra smoke. But let me tell you something.
Yeah, I got some extra smoke too.
If you want it, you can have it. Like
I got one left.
Tell you, that's
my
what I'm
husband
trying to
does too. So and he is a licensed gun owner. So that's all I had to tell you. So literally, I just got this. This was a couple days ago. Filthy cunt, hope you die in a grease fire, you pandering racial pig. This is MAGA country, you dumb whore. Literally just got that like 2 days ago. Now, I don't know where it's from. I was like, did I say something? Did I write something?
Just a regular Tuesday.
Okay, well, good morning to you. I was
so did you respond to that?
No, I didn't.
Do you want to respond to that?
I mean, so this is what I think I might do. And I've done this a couple times.
You're formulating your response.
No, it's not even a formulated response. I because I'm a teacher at heart. I want them to think, was this worth it?
Right.
And the best way I could do that is to go on his page, because they all often do, and find out who his employer is, because I have actually done this a few times. And I will make sure that I send them this message. Or better yet, as I've also done before, I will put this on my own Facebook page and tag him in it, because obviously he wants attention. I am happy to give you what you asked for. I'm going to give you exactly what you asked for, and have you ask yourself, was it worth it for me to send her that?
Right.
And so I remember this one guy, this happened last year. Like he sent me a message of something similar. I tagged him. It turns out I think he worked for, was it Jared the jeweler? I think that's it.
Jared the jeweler. Okay,
Jared Jewelers, whatever.
New York. Yep.
Yeah. Or no, the big chain, Jared. He went to Jared. That chain. Jared's.
Jareds.
Jared's, right?
Yeah, right.
And so he tweeted me but he sent me a bunch of horrible messages. And so I tagged them and tagged him. And I was like, is this what you want your employees to be saying to people on social media? And they immediately got back to me. I think he got fired. actually.
As well he should.
And while, I'm not necessarily in it for vitriol, but at the same time, I'm also of the opinion that, you can send me whatever you want. Free speech is a thing, but it ain't free from consequences. I tell you what, just because you have the right to say it doesn't mean I have to take it.
Right,
and I hate telling younger journalists, especially women, Black women in particular, who often ask me how I deal with getting these kind of things all the time. I hate to tell them that they have to have a tough skin because that gives the license to the people that do it. So instead, from just pure pettiness, I like to make an example of folks because I'm like, yo, I ain't gonna live in somewhere where you feel like you get to say anything to me you want. Like, it ain't happening that way.
That type of party.
It's just not. Okay, not today, boy. Not today.
There's no place for it. Again, you can have it in your, like I said, have it in your mind all you want, but just think before you hit sin.
Yeah, the moment. Stupid. A lot of these people, like, they always do it thinking, oh, she'll never respond, blah blah blah. Nobody will see it. I see it. And
me too.
You see it, right? And trust me, y'all gonna catch me on the wrong day, and I'm gonna live.
Catch me outside, huh?
I'm gonna live to make an example out of you. So you decide before you want to send something like that. What do I have to lose? Because I tell you what, I got some money. Your ass might. So we gonna see.
Preach,
right?
Pastor. There you have it.
Gonna see.
There you have it, Jemele Hill.
Right.
Telling you, catch me outside here on the Getcha Popcorn Ready podcast.
All right. You just mentioned your husband's license. Gun
owner.
Gun owner.
Yes.
I have to say congratulations.
Thank you.
Are in order.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yep.
Newly married to your now husband, Ian Williams, right?
Ian Wallace.
Yes.
Shout out to Ian Wallace.
Ian Wallace.
Yeah. Ian Wallace. My apologies, Ian. So how was I saw like that you was on your stories,
the photos,
Instagram, the photos,
the video we did.
I thought we had a bond. I went on his and hers.
See,
hold on. I thought we had a bond. I can sing too. I sang to her. She don't remember.
I do. You say Pretty Brown Eyes.
Pretty Brown Eyes.
I remember this.
Pretty Brown Eyes.
That must have hurt your ears.
So I'm mad. I didn't get no invite, but it's cool. It's family.
What happened was
I already know.
the way that per plate worked.
They only had room for 1,500.
The way that per plate worked. It's
cool. I read a meme too just before I came here, and it said, if you're not invited, don't ask.
Don't ask. Yeah, don't ask to go.
Don't ask to go. Yeah.
Ain't that the truth?
So I got to take heed to that.
Oh, for the vow renewal. For the vow renewal, I got you.
All right.
But
cool.
No, it was great. We had a beautiful ceremony. We got married in Dana Point, California,
nice.
In Orange County. And
down the road.
Yeah, down the road, because it's actually where we had our first date. And
nice.
We're both from Detroit, both went to Michigan State, but I'm 5 years older because I'm a cougar. And so...
Wow. Okay.
2020, it don't matter. There you go.
Ian, like, shit, I got a good-looking cougar, though.
Right,
Winnie. And she got money. She got that ESPN money.
Oh, my God. He was doing quite well without me. He was all good. So we but I never expected. We met at homecoming, actually, at Michigan State's homecoming.
Wow.
We met at a tailgate, and
Nice.
I never expected when we met that it would lead us all the way here. But I was not one of those girls who dreamed of the wedding and the picket fence and all that kind of thing. I would have been happy being unmarried. Yeah, I would have been okay with that.
Like a life partner?
No, I would have been maybe, I guess, but it was just, marriage was not on my menu of things. It really wasn't. And so for me, this is such a unexpected but wonderful journey because you learn a lot about yourself when you're in this type of commitment. And mostly, I think what I was able to see is, first of all, seeing myself through his eyes, which has been very enlightening. And not only realizing superpowers I didn't know that I had, but also understanding. See, y'all, you know what? I'm just. Why you so chocolate? You about to take this in a whole different direction. You about to take this in a totally
Superwoman
different
is in the building, ladies and
direction.
gentlemen.
I wasn't going there.
You the one saying, I got these superpowers I didn't know I had.
You know
you
what?
said it. I ain't say it.
Sir, I am referring to biblical things.
I ain't say nothing.
Oh, what you talking about? Oh, I'm trying to be a good Christian
You know
woman
what I'm
out here.
saying?
Hey, look at
This guy.
I ain't
heathen
saying
over
nothing.
here.
He's a he's a
heathen
heathen.
over here.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Oh man.
But no, I think what you realize too is also, places where you were broken that you didn't realize that you were, or places that you were flawed, and you are with somebody who strengthens you in those areas. And that's what he's definitely done for me. And my life, my professional life is very chaotic at times.
So you want stability at home.
Yeah, I do. I mean, as much as, look, it's great to argue with folks on Twitter, and even when I was at ESPN, around the horn, yeah, it's cool to do that, but I ain't trying to play around the horn at home.
No,
okay?
sir. No, around the
It's
home,
like,
no,
I'm not trying to do
option.
that.
Right.
It's like I'm very. He keeps, if my day is at a 10, he'll get me to a 5, and it's like we just have such a cool, awesome, relationship, and he is, he's my best friend, and I think that's an important part of it.
How long were you guys together before you?
We were this now. Let's see, we're in 2020. This is now year 5, and so this is year 6 actually. This will be year 6. So we were 5 before we got married, and it's an interesting situation because like we were long distance until we both moved to LA.
Wow.
And so we went from being long distance to moving in together, and then 3 months later he proposed, or 2 months later he proposed.
Oh, that's what those superpowers.
You know what?
I ain't saying I ain't even saying
2 months.
But I'm just trying to put some shit together here. You know what I mean? I'm trying to figure out what these superpowers come in.
We have been talking about
because you haven't even addressed the superpowers in which you were speaking of
the
earlier.
Superpowers of which I was speaking of was the ability, like when you've been on your own for as long as I was, and you're used to kind of operate. And I was raised the only child too, so it has just been the
single life,
the universe of me, right?
Yes, yeah.
And what you realize is, and it's a requirement. Like when you're in a marriage, like the ability to sacrifice is a real thing.
It's a thing.
And I don't mean like sacrifice like material things.
No.
I mean sacrificing parts of yourself or parts
space.
of your space, like a lot of things that you sacrifice. And what I learned and discovered in this relationship, and definitely in this marriage, is that the sacrifice is not a burden for me. It's something I actually look forward to doing. I like
You're testing
being,
yourself.
I like that it's not all about me.
Absolutely.
I do. And it's
say that again.
I said, I like that it's not all about me.
It's possible, buddy. It's possible, man. Listen and
we'll
learn.
get to that. We'll get to that in a little bit,
man.
I like
You
that
know
it's
what I'm
not
saying?
all about me. I love being able to, be his support network and his backbone, just as he is mine. Like it's the selfless parts of this, and the selflessness that I didn't even know that I had. That's the superpower, heathen. So
I'm writing it down.
That's what I was referring to.
I'm writing it down.
Is that part of it? It has been extremely, rewarding, and I think look, as a single person, there's only so many things I could accumulate. There's only so many accomplishments I could have, or whatever have you, and it feels so gratifying for me to be able to share this life with somebody else.
Yep.
Yeah.
So with that, I said, obviously, like you said, you could have had just a simple wedding, this and that and the other. But obviously for a woman, wedding day is like the biggest.
That's the day.
The day. So is there anything that you did like to, what you have to, what every woman does before they go down the aisle? They go on some binge diet to try to fit their dress, all this good. Because you want to look, you want to look
your
best ever.
Your absolute best. Because
That's
this is the best day for the both of you.
It is.
So is there anything you did differently to kind of like, because I already know he knows what you look like, but to like,
you want to
give him
still
a little
shock him.
Step it up,
step it up a few notches.
So I've gotten into yoga. I've been doing yoga now for probably it's probably been close to 10 years now. But I do hot yoga, right? Like I love hot yoga. I need to do something intense.
He got hips like the Tin Man.
Facts.
He got the hips like a Tin Man.
Facts.
So I know what you're saying. So like when over the years, I've had to do like photo shoots or get ready for something. Like my trainer basically told me a lot of things like I wouldn't even never thought to do, just like the night before getting ready for a photo shoot, especially like eating healthy fruits, things of that nature.
Right.
Like he told me one night, because I had a shoot and he goes, yo, don't eat anything late at night. Just make sure you eat a green apple.
Why did he tell you that?
Because he just wanted me to look ripped. And when I get on that photo shoot, like I said, very little water. So all the hydration, the water that I was gonna get, it was
so you wouldn't have any water weight that you would take.
But he didn't give you nothing for your face though.
No, but that was part of.
Yeah, that's what you needed. You needed something for your face.
Well, one of my girls had told me that to do this before, like, you know, if you're in a photo shoot to take pictures, and if that's the tone of the photo shoot is like for you to look ripped, she was like, nah, do some push-ups. You know, she was like, do some push-ups, like if you want the arms to pop or if you want the legs, do a few squats. She was like, you know, so that way they at their maximum. I was like, okay. But for me, no, I already, you know, regularly worked out, but I just took it to another level where I was working out like 5-6 days a week. And so, because, I mean, it was definitely like, I definitely wanted to tone and to slim down a little bit. Plus, it was sort of like I wanted to lose a few to kind of gain a few because we honeymoon for a month.
That's a honeymoon.
Yeah, so I was not picking up nary a weight, nothing. Nothing was happening for 30 days. I was like, I did all this for months, like, no. And so knowing that was why I was like, because on my honeymoon, I was like, I'm eating and drinking everything.
So you worked out to eat later.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that was my motivation.
That's your binge,
That's what was my motivation. It was
you
like,
look
okay.
good. You covered both bases.
I was like, boom, here's what it is.
30 days.
Which it was really odd because on my honeymoon, I think I might have gained like maybe 2 pounds. But I didn't start gaining weight till I got back here, right? And I was like, "Oh
that
man!"
happened, yeah.
So currently, I'm in the gym.
Back in the gym.
I'm back in the gym, back at it like hardcore because you know I got some things I got to look forward to this year. But no, I do hot yoga and I do you know Bikram because I like doing that. But I also do a lot of yoga bar and sculpt. So I like it.
That sculpt is no joke.
It's no joke. And it's like in my yoga studio, I've seen J.R. Smith goes to it, Alex Rodriguez. Like, it's like some for real athletes that have been up in there. And that shit is hard, man. We be all in there like,
hurting yourself.
The sculpt, man, I took the sculpt class. Like, they have like different tiers of it. They have C1, C2. I go to Core Power.
Oh, you go to Core Power? Yeah, I've been to Core Power before.
You get in there, dog. You get in there with those 10s.
Oh, y'all got 10s?
Bro, put some 10s on them.
Bro, and you got the 10s, but you don't want to look weak. And you got women in there.
Especially you.
You start shaking with 10s in your hand?
First of all, you want to try to maybe get a 15. 10, dog. That sculpt is no joke. I won't even take a sculpt class.
For real?
No, it's too hard. It's too hard. I had one guy, he knew. I hated it. I went to it one time and I never went back. I would go to all the other classes. He goes, T, you gonna come back to my class? No, sir. I'm not going back.
It's too hard.
Man, that's trying to sneak past class.
That shit hurts.
Yeah.
That shit hurts. I'm gonna stick with my fruits and veggies.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen.
I know a vegetable that you don't like.
Oh, you already know what it is.
Brussels sprouts. You don't even like Brussels sprouts.
That's the main new vegetable now.
What?
Yeah, you gotta try it. It's not the Brussels sprouts from 20 years ago.
Y'all communists. I don't know what's wrong with y'all. Like, Brussels sprouts are like the worst.
I know they used to be the worst.
They trying to make Brussels sprouts the new kale. Yeah. It ain't happening. It ain't happening. Don't come on Kale's block Brussels sprouts.
I'm gonna Kale and Brussels sprouts.
Brussels sprouts is the new kale.
I got you one. Oh, no. I thought I'm gonna get you the other one I have, which says "Say no to Brussels sprouts."
No. I'm gonna get you one. Look, Brussels sprouts is the new kale.
I've tried it every way. And somebody did bring up a good point to me about Brussels sprouts the other day that I hadn't considered. For a lot of people, their parents and grandparents ruin Brussels sprouts because most times you probably grew up, they just boiled them and put salt and pepper on them, and that was it.
Trash.
Hated them, right? Yeah. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna elevate my mind. I'm gonna try them in every way because I'm not the type of person. I don't give up on food. Okay, I just don't. Like, I just don't do it. It's gotta, like, if you tell me it's good, damn it, I'm gonna keep at it till it's good. Right. So I've had it sautéed. I've had it bacon wrapped. I have literally had Brussels sprouts every possible way. Because y'all Brussels sprout people kill me. Because every time I tell you I don't like them, you'll say, well, have you had it?
These, right.
Try these.
Okay, let me
roasted, crispy.
Have you had them at Tao?
No.
There it is. That's all.
Have them at Tao.
That's it. That's all I'm gonna say. And that will change your mind. I'm telling you.
But every time I ask somebody about what makes them good, y'all always add about 62 ingredients to them. They can't be that good if you got to add all that shit to them.
Yeah, I don't know what's in them, but they good.
I love it.
And I hated them when I was doing it.
What's your favorite way to have Brussels sprouts?
What's that?
What's your favorite way to have Brussels sprouts?
I like them crispy and roasted.
Okay. All right.
Crispy and black like his face.
Yep.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Jemele Hill on Getcha Popcorn Ready podcast.
No, you stunned him. You stunned him. No, I got one more question.
Okay.
What, you been married, a few months now?
Yeah. We're in month 4, I think.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah. I'm an old veteran at this marriage game.
And obviously, like I said, with marriage, family, any babies on the horizon?
Oh, dude, really?
Yeah, that's part of marriage life, girl.
I know it is. That is.
Would you like kids?
I like everybody's kids.
No, would you like your own kids?
Everybody's kids are great. That is a TBA conversation. So,
to be announced. He doesn't know what that meant. To be announced.
As a TBA, TBD, however you want to put it. Same thing. So, we...
you heard it right here. She's pregnant. Get your popcorn ready. Get your popcorn ready.
My husband at home will be like, what?
Right, what? Can I go take that one clip?
Sorry, babe. Got something to tell you when I come home.
Right.
No. But no, it's a TBA.
Okay, got you.
Yeah.
I'm not rushing anything.
I was like, man, I just, like, the marriage certificate ain't even.
She just had a honeymoon. You know what I'm saying?
I know your mama. When you gonna give me some grandkids?
Actually, no. My mother is not like that. My mother, and maybe it's just because I was her only child. Yeah, but it could go either way because you would say, "Oh, you were her only child. She wants a whole lot of grandkids." But she has never pressured me into marriage and or children.
What about granddad live?
No. Both of my grandparents are gone, and so it's like I don't think he's getting any pressure from his side, but I think they would be more than okay with it. So his mom has not been like, oh, when are y'all gonna, have some kids? But I think she would enjoy being a grandmother for sure. As with my mother. Yeah, but no
not
pressure.
rushing.
No pressure. Now my friends on the other hand, woo, Lord, I'm like, whose ovaries are these?
Right. It's like they try to be godmamas,
oh my God, so many aunties, so many godparents. It's like they are ready for some child production, but
there it is. You heard it here first. Jemele Hill, pregnant.
We want to thank you so much, Jemele. I for one, I appreciate you coming on the show.
Oh man, this was a pleasure sitting with you both. I will recommend some good therapists for y'all. That will hopefully bring y'all together.
We need.
Well, now you know who he is. Now you know who he is.
Don't let him talk.
I'm not even listening. Hey, cut his mic off. Cut his mic off.
And you need to stop running from this man. Look, play him in 1-on-1.
Okay, I tell you what. I will let you know the day I bust his head. I will let you know. Come to the gym.
If you win, you could.
What you mean if?
Shut this conversation down.
I will shut it down. He's trash.
Didn't I tell you what kind of hips this dude got? I already know this dude.
You only got one wheel right now coming off of ACL. But this thing,
I can still beat you though. That's dude. I'm gonna look at this to the camera, and I can still beat you right now.
Nobody heard that.
Right now. That's the thing, because I'm for real about mine. I told you this. Like I'm one of the Bo Jackson, Deion Sanders,
and T.O.
We some of the best athletes that grace this.
It's not we.
That's right.
No
and
we.
You and Kobe, the two best scorers. You're two of the best scorers.
No, we don't pass. No, me and Kobe, we just don't pass.
See what I'm saying?
I said scorers. Best scorers.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I can get buckets now. It's known.
Okay.
All you gotta do, you're a journalist. You can do your research.
Nobody wants
to do your research. She was a columnist at one point.
I have seen him play basketball.
But you ain't seen me play.
I have not seen him play.
That's the problem. Because if he was about anything, you would have already seen him. He's not even invited.
You're not in the NBA.
He's not even invited to any charity.
Because
why? Why? First of all, he's not going to get. He's not even going to draw. He's not going to get no tickets, no nothing. There's no draw to his name.
It's okay. It's all right. It's all right. All right, man. Okay. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for having me. Good luck with everything.
Appreciate it.
Look forward to listening to all the great interviews.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you.
All right.
So let's go into our 3 and Out segment regarding some of the things we took away from the show with Jemele Hill. I thought one of the things that, of course, I like about our show and what we do, of course, is how her perspective on how sports brings everybody together. Again, the arenas that, it's 70,000 people. they're rooting for the same team. Like I said, they leave that arena and they don't know each other. They don't
different
like each other.
Backgrounds, ethnicities,
right.
different religions, views, all of that.
But when they in there,
that one common thing of sports, everybody's together during the hours that game is being played.
It's amazing how it's like as a society how we just can't stay there, can't stay in that that realm of positiveness and camaraderie. We just again, you leave that arena and like you kind of go back to being who you are. But again, for that moment, it is what it is. I love it.
Yeah, and I think, what was the other one? I guess that was the power of columnists, where again she can give her opinion about whomever or whatever, and have to face that athlete.
Right. Or she was confident that she was being real enough to face that athlete. Again, she wasn't putting something out there that she had never looked up or researched or background checked. Like she could put it out there. She was confident in her, in her skill of finding out the truth or where it came from, and kind of taking advantage of that situation in a good way. So again, that's respectful. How we talk about journalists. Some people don't do their homework.
No.
Some, unfortunately out there, some journalists don't do their homework. And again, so coming from her, that's a refreshing perspective. So I like how she bet on herself. Pretty much again, how she left ESPN. She didn't get fired as as I'm sure.
But again, that's how it is. That's how media,
they'll spin it. Yep,
will spin it that she got fired.
Right,
and you heard it here. And she said she left. With a check. With a check.
Facts.
So and that lets you know, like I said, she did the right thing for her, and clearly, there was something improper going on that she left with a check.
Right. Yeah, she didn't get fired. So I mean, like I said, if you're positive in your own abilities, that you're going to be able to move on and go upward from ESPN, which everybody thinks like you're going to go down, but no, she's doing fine. Right,
bigger,
she's writing for The Atlantic. Has her own podcast.
Yeah, on to bigger and better things. Jemele Hill is Unbothered.
Yep, her own podcast. Right. Yep. So again, she's doing great. Thanks for coming to the show today, Jemele Hill. Appreciate you. Right now, join us next time on Getcha Popcorn Ready podcast.
Yep. I'm bringing you a basket of Brussels sprouts. Yay! Yep. Hey, make sure you guys subscribe to the Himalaya app or wherever you get your podcast. Be sure to swipe up, subscribe, and share, people, because y'all know how I do it. Sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring. Subscribe on the Himalaya app or wherever you get your podcast. Swipe up.